In this video, I am going to tell you all about the only DIYs you need. I'm sure you've watched tons of videos on YouTube where you keep seeing all these things like an avocado mask, moringa mask, honey mask, aloe vera, banana mask, egg. Like there's so many things, fenugreek, and you're just like, should I use all these things? Which one should I use? Which one's the best? In this video, I'm going to tell you the only ones you need to use. In my opinion, these are the only ones I use on my hair, and I'll give you some advice on the only ones that you should use on your hair. This is my hair. It is straightened right now, and as you can see, it is very healthy. It is growing very fast. It's doing very well. So if you want to know what all of them are in detail, watch all the way till the end. If you don't know me, my name is Angelica. I post videos twice a week, every single week on Wednesdays and Sundays. And occasionally on Friday, I post a little bonus video. So if that seems interesting to you, consider subscribing. The subscription button is right down there, as well as the bell icon. Make sure you hit the bell so you get notifications every single time I post. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first one is an oil, and I highly recommend you do a DIY oil because often it can be cheaper and it is easy to use because you don't have to go through so many steps. You only have to make it once, and usually, depending on how much you make, it can last you about 4 weeks to 3 months. And I wouldn't advise you to make too much because you want to keep making it so that it stays fresh. And if you're making it yourself, it means you have no preservatives. So you want to make sure it doesn't last for too long, just in case it develops any kind of bacteria or anything like that. But about 3 months is a good margin. So don't use your whole bottle of olive oil or whatever, but use an amount which is like something like this, like a do-grow bottle or something, like 100 to 250 mils is a good amount to make. And the reason why I love doing DIY oils is because they are very versatile. You can put exactly what you need in your hair because the perfect amount for you might not be the same for anyone else. And you can infuse your favorite oils in it, and you can use the same dose every single time so you know exactly what is in it. For my favorite DIY oil, the first one I'm giving you is, of course, you guys can guess it. It is moringa oil. I have a video on how to make it, and we can just go to that little clip of how to make moringa oil if you've never made it before, because I highly recommend this oil. Let's go to that clip now. Starting with this olive oil, it is by Clover. Olive Pride is the name. It is extra virgin olive oil. You want to make sure you use a good quality olive oil. Don't use an olive oil blend, anything that mixed with any other oils. Just use pure olive oil or whatever other oil you want to use, like almond oil, macadamia nut oil, avocado oil, as long as it's a pure oil. This is the oil I had on hand at this point, so this is what I'm using. The best way to tell if you have good quality olive oil is if you are using an olive oil that looks very yellow or green. That's why it is called liquid gold. I'm using about half a cup of this, which makes about a full bottle of oil. So if you don't want to make this much, you can use a quarter cup and you'd still get a pretty good amount. And I'm using this plastic jug simply because it's clear and you can see through. Ordinary, I'd use something metal or glass. So now I'm using this moringa powder. As you can see, it looks super healthy. It is very green, and this is 100% moringa. It is not mixed with anything else. And I will be putting 2 semi-heaped teaspoons of moringa into this oil. So of course, if you're using a quarter cup of oil, you can only do 1 teaspoon. It is actually very affordable because you need very little. It is super potent whether you ingest it or use it in your hair. So now you want to make sure that you mix it very, very thoroughly. You don't want any like bubbles that have like a little bit of powder on the inside. You want to make sure everything is nicely mixed and incorporated, and this is at room temperature, but we will be heating it up, which is why I say if you're doing this at home, I'd suggest you use something metal or glass, something like Pyrex, so it doesn't break if you heat it up. That would be the best, but this was the best container I could find to show you guys on camera, which is why I'm using plastic. And now I'm using a pot and I'm pouring in hot water. I boiled this water and then I let it cool down for 10 minutes. So as you can see, it's still very hot. It has steam, and we are going to be putting the moringa into this. You do not want to do this on the stove because it's going to heat up your oil. You don't want to do this in the microwave because it's going to kill the nutrients, and there'll literally be no point in doing this. So you just want it to heat up, and after it's sat in for a few minutes, you can see that it even starts to lighten up, and you can see the oil separating a little bit. So once it gets very light, you just want to mix it up again. And then I left this to just sit until the water completely cooled. And once the water was completely cooled, I took the jug out of the water and I let it sit overnight to infuse, and this is what I was left with. Everything sank to the bottom, and then all I was left with was the highly infused oil, and you'll be able to tell that this actually worked because your oil will be green. So now I'm just using this Do Grow bottle. There's already a little bit of olive oil in there. The oil already finished, and I didn't want to get a new bottle. I don't want to waste plastic, so I decided to use the same bottle, and I just added to the olive oil that was already in there. That is the moringa oil. You can see it is super green. And now I'm just going to be adding a few of my essential oils to this moringa oil because I do have braids in right now, and I love to put oils on my scalp, and I love to get the benefits of other oils as well. So I am putting in a couple drops of tea tree oil, about 10 drops, since this is a full bottle, and this has antibacterial and antimicrobial properties, which are amazing for itchiness and dandruff or anything like that. And now I'm using peppermint oil, which is great for stimulating your scalp and increasing blood flow to that area, which will mean that the moringa oil will work even better. So I'm putting about two droppers full, which is about 15 drops of peppermint oil. Then you just want to shake it up, and your oil is basically done. So as you saw, that is how I make moringa oil. I use moringa powder, I use peppermint oil, I use tea tree oil, and I use rosemary oil. I don't think there's rosemary oil in that clip, but I definitely always add rosemary oil. I also have a video about so many oils and why they are beneficial and the reasons why I love these specific three. So no matter what oil I use, I always add these essential oils into that. So moringa oil is my favorite. I love it because if you want your deep conditioner to be a little bit more oily or sealing or anything like that, you can go ahead and put some of that moringa oil into your deep conditioner. You can put it on your scalp, you can put it on your ends, you can put it on your actual hair shaft. You can use it multiple times a week. You can use it for scalp massages, and because it's so versatile and requires very little effort except for the first day that you make it, which is also little effort. This is the reason why I love this so much, because I tend to find that even if I find DIYs that are really good and I really like them on my hair, because it takes so much time of blending and finding the ingredients and then only being able to use them once or twice, it kind of makes me feel a little bit lazy, and I'm like, do I actually want to use that DIY? So even though it's good, I just find myself maybe not really using it. So let's go on to my next DIY, which is something I also love, which is also, you guessed it, an oil, and this is coffee oil. Now I've only made this once, and it's out of pure laziness and forgetfulness. I'm definitely going to make coffee oil again. We can go to the little clip so you can see how I made it, because next time I make it, if I talk about it on this channel, I'll have already made it exactly the way I made it the last time. So let's go to the little demo of the coffee oil. So starting off, I put a pot on the stove on very low, and I put 3 tablespoons of ground coffee. Not coffee powder, actual grounds, but not beans as well. Then I'm taking about a 1/4 cup of olive oil, and I am just putting this in the pot and mixing it together. And this is a very easy process. You literally mix it and let it simmer. You do not want it to boil, and you don't want it to burn. So leave it on very low for about 15 minutes. When that's done, you can just pour it into a glass jar. Of course, after it's cooled, you can put it in any jar actually. This is just so you guys could see nice and clearly what I was doing, but after I finished straining this nice and easily, I just used a spoon. You can use a cheesecloth, you can use whatever. I just used a strainer. As you guys can see, the oil is dropping into the glass, very nice and easy. And the beauty is you can use the leftovers to make a body scrub, as you guys can see. So I actually use this as a body scrub. It is super nice, but definitely too coarse for your face. So don't use it on your face, just use it on your body. And that is how I make the coffee oil. Coffee is amazing for hair growth. The caffeine really stimulates hair growth. If you watch a bunch of videos about hair growth, if you see dermatologist recommendations, and also lots of products that are meant for regrowth of hair, caffeine is one of the things that's always added, whether it is in the form of like a green tea, a black tea, like black tea rinses, or in the form of the actual coffee grounds. Most of the brands I know are actually German or Russian. Those are like shampoos and conditioners, and a lot of them contain a bunch of caffeine. And the great thing about caffeine is it also provides instant results, just like on your skin. If you do like a caffeine eye cream, it has an instant brightening effect. It's the same for your hair. As soon as you put it on, you might not feel a tingling sensation if there's no peppermint or tea tree, but it does increase blood flow to that area immediately. So it's something that has great results, and you can see great results over time. And the same way you use moringa oil, coffee oil is not necessarily something you should always put on your hair shaft because it is pretty dark and it could possibly discolor your clothes. But if you have just a little bit in your palms, you can put it at the ends of your hair. But more importantly, this is an oil that is perfect for scalp massages, and you only need a little bit of this, so a little goes a long way, and it is highly effective. I'm definitely going to be featuring it way more on this channel, especially I think you guys loved me using coffee in my hair, so I'll definitely be using it more. And if you want any other recipes that involve caffeine, let me know in the comment section below and I can make it in case that's your DIY of choice. And my last one, yes, there are only three. I'm sure you can guess it. Let us all say it together. Rice water. Rice water is another one of my favorite DIYs because you make it once and you can literally ferment it for about 6 months, of course, depending on where you live, and only specifically the Yao Women's recipe. Okay, so we are starting with 1.5 cups of rice. This is plain rice from my aunt's farm actually. It is just Zambian rice. Just rinse the rice water and you can see there's just little like dirt and particles coming out. As you can see, this is not like packaged rice. And now I'm getting this warm water. You don't want boiling water. And I'm using this cup and I'm putting about 8.5 cups of water. And now it is time to add the secret ingredient of the Yao women. They use a pomelo fruit. Now, pomelo fruit is not accessible here and it's not a common fruit. So the closest thing to pomelo fruit is not actually oranges, it's actually a grapefruit. So I stored that in a dark cupboard and this is the result 5 days later. You can see that it looks very bubbly and stuff. Those bubbles coming up just show how fermented it is. You want to keep massaging and kneading the rice literally for a full 5 minutes or more. If you've never tried this, I suggest you try this. You don't need to boil the water to get to this point. So this is the rice water exactly after 6 weeks. You guys can see the grapefruit peels still look pretty orange. They have kind of like darker orange spots on them in some places, but it still looks very good. There's nothing moldy. There's nothing looking greenish or whitish. It just kind of looks a little bit more orange because of the color from the grapefruit, kind of like what happened when I fermented it for 5 days, but just a little bit more intense. And now it's time to see the magic. You just mix it up and it becomes white as milk again, just like how it was before. And that is my rice water in perfect condition. I smelt it and it literally smelled amazing, just like grapefruit. Nothing wrong, just regular rice water. I went ahead and poured some into my spray bottle. So this is what I used. And then I went ahead and stored it in the fridge. As you guys can see, it's still a lot of rice water and I could continue using it for at least another 2 weeks even. And once it's in the fridge again, it's not fermenting. It is the Yao Women recipe, but of course I tweaked it to be exactly the way I like it. That is the best kind of rice water I have ever used. You don't have to use it very often. You don't even have to use it as much as the oils. I tend to only use rice water once or twice a month. Now, in case you have a question to say, okay, so you use these 3 things, how often do you use them? This is a question I get a lot. And also, which DIYs do you use the most? Now, I have done a moringa mask on this channel and I've talked about doing honey and avocado masks. I would suggest if you want to do any of those kind of masks, that's like a deep conditioner, any kind of DIY like that, I suggest you find one that works really well. If it happens to be an avocado mask, if it happens to be a banana mask, which I despise, but if it works for you, you can go ahead and use that. Whatever kind of mask, I would suggest you just use one. And if it's a detangler as well, like if you like flaxseed gel or aloe vera gel, can't stand the texture, but they are amazing for hair growth. If you love those, I would also suggest you use that. And the reason I don't like to mix too many DIYs is because DIYs are highly unstable. So you never know if one single ingredient is going to react with another one, if it's going to ferment earlier than you thought, if it won't exactly have the same result as the last time, because maybe the avocado you got is from a different tree. Maybe this one has more water. Maybe this one is more creamy. It's very unstable. So mixing them together just because they are natural ingredients doesn't mean they can't react. So for the DIYs, if it's one, I would just say if it's a wet one that is not an oil, I would suggest you choose one that works perfectly for you. For me, that will be rice water. And then for the oils, I suggest you have 1 or 2 recipes. There's no need to use them all the time. So how often will I use them? Rice water, I use rice water once to twice a month. I only make it maybe once every 3 to 4 months because I make it, I ferment it, I leave it in the fridge, and I can continue using it until it's done. It basically never goes bad the way I make it, which is why I love it so much. And then when it comes to the oils, if I have coffee oil and moringa oil at the same time, the thing I'm going to do is just alternate. So I do a scalp massage 4 to 5 times a week. So I will go ahead and alternate. So maybe one day, let's say it's across the week, right? Monday, I'll go ahead and use moringa oil. Tuesday, I won't use any oil. Wednesday, I will use the coffee oil. Thursday, I will use moringa oil again. Friday, just like that, I'll keep alternating. And then when it comes to my wash day, if you've watched my video on how I completely changed my hair in 30 days, I do talk about how I make sure I oil my scalp on my wash day or the next day. The reason I say the next day is if I do my hair in twists or a wash and go or something like that, and my hair takes very long to dry and it's soaking wet, if I put oil on my scalp, I feel like the other products that I put on can possibly dilute my oil. So I like my hair to be at least 80% dry. So what I will do is on the day when my scalp is fresh, it is clean, there is no product on my scalp, and it is ready to receive any oil. In this way, I would do this. Week 1, I will go ahead and use my coffee oil on my wash day. Week 2, I'll use moringa oil. I wash my hair every 7 to 10 days, but these days it's closer to 7 days. And then if my hair is straight like this, it's probably going to be about 3 weeks. But my scalp is extremely healthy. You can see there is not a single flake. I blow dried my hair. I flat iron. There's no dryness because my hair has been doing very, very well, including my scalp. So for now, I'll only be scalping my hair or doing a scalp massage maybe 3 to 4 times a week, but I will only put oil in my hair once to twice a week, and I will not put it the way I put it in my curly hair because I don't care if my curly hair is weighed down. But for this hair, I'm just going to do the method where I put a little bit of oil on my fingertips and go within my scalp and do my nice scalp massage. So I'm still getting those hair growth benefits even if my hair is straight. Now, I love DIYs, but like I said, please don't overdo them. Too much of everything is bad, even if it's a natural thing. So if you want more videos about DIYs or products that you like, or if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below because I'd love to know what they are. Hit my face to subscribe if you didn't in the beginning, and make sure you hit the bell so you get notifications every single time I post a video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one.